This is the Footbrawl Podcast with your hosts, Tyler, Andy, and Boyer.
Welcome back to Mantasy Footbrawl Podcast, presented by your performance-enhancing dads. What's happening, fellas?
Not much.
Football's
How you
about to
been?
start. It's exciting.
Can't wait.
Football's back? Yeah. This is football day, because technically you'll see it on Thursday, so here we go. So we're going to run down some over-unders, projections for the years. We'd like to hear what you guys have to say about our projections, see where you guys feel like you're going to fall, or if you think we're way off, let us know, because, you know, we're idiots, so let us know in the comments and the things that we do. But we're going to run through that, then we're going to run down some roster decisions and week one breakdown. So let's get started with over-unders. Andy set the line. Boyer and I have no idea what the line is. So we're going to figure out if we're going over or under live right here with you. So Andy, let's start with Fryer. Where you got the line at?
I got Fryer at 6.5 wins. I gave everybody a half, so there's no pushes. So 6.5 wins. Is he getting more or less than that?
Yeah, so I've got him at 7. So I'm going to go with the over. I had him starting off pretty hot, and then he was kind of a mixed bag, and then he kind of fades towards the end of the year, which honestly feels a lot like Fryer to me. So I feel pretty good about that.
What do you think? Over under 6.5.
So let's be honest with everybody. I got through week 6.5 with my projections. So the back half of the year, I don't know who you're playing. I don't know what your lineups look like. I don't know what your buys look like. So I had Fryer through with 3 wins through week 6. So odds are in the back half, he will get at least 3 more. I would probably be on board with Boyer. About 7 wins sounds about right. So I would go over, but I think it's a solid line.
All right. I'm also going over, but I figured 6.5 was where I ought to set that. Sounds like 7.5 you'd have gone under. So
I'm on the border of 7 to 8 wins probably, but also Fryer's Fryer, so 6 would be reasonable.
yeah, for frame of reference for anybody who hasn't mathed it out yet, we're doing 15 games this year, so 7.5 over and under would be a 500 team. Just for putting that in your head.
For you idiots that don't know how to do math, here we go. I think he was talking to me, but anyway. We're going on to you, Andy. What's your over under here?
I got me at 7.5.
All right, so Andy, I've got you at 10 wins. And
thank you. That feels
really
generous.
well, what really helps you out, I mean, you've got Chubb and Javante, which gives you a decent like running back start. But when you hit your buys, you have wide receivers to cover some of those wide receiver buys. So when I was looking at like just projections and things, I was trying to add up in my head, okay, well, you lost this wide receiver, and then next receiver up was, you know, like a good receiver. So I think DK Metcalf might make or break your team a little bit on that 10 win. If he plays well and consistently, I think you'll be fine. But I had you at 10.
Thanks. What do you think?
Boyer talked a lot. What was the line at?
I put me at 7.5.
I'm going to go under. I think you're going to end at that 7. Your problem is you're a buyer, so things are going to change. But right now, I have a feeling where you're at. I don't dislike your team, but I think there's a lot of question marks. So I've got you at that 7 to 8 win mark as well. So I'm going to go under. I think this is going to be a down year for you.
I am also going to go under. I feel like I'm sitting about 7 wins with what I've got right now. I've missed out on getting that one extra stud that I needed, and while I like all my players, I need some of them to do more than what they're expected to, whether that's DK or Terry or Thielen or Juju or whoever it is. Somebody's got to step up and be more than I'm expecting, and can't count on that. So odds are they're going to do it when they're on my bench anyways.
All right, let's jump over to Robbie.
Robbie, I've also got at 7.5. I'm going to take this one. Robbie's is tough because he's got Najee, who's got the Liz Frank, which I don't think is a huge issue, but that's not a phrase I want to associate with my running back. And then he's also got Saquon, and he's also got Fournette. So that's a hell of a trio of running backs who are probably all not playing a full 16 games this year, 17 games this year, if you ask me. Which it makes it tough because if all of them play 15 games, that's a lot different than if all of them play 5. But I'm gonna go ahead and go with the over because everybody is healthy for right now, and I feel like this is an 8 or 9 win team, assuming everybody stays mostly healthy.
So I think the biggest question mark is going to be Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney, opposed to the running back health / killer trio. I don't know that I like Robinson and Mooney is the 1-2 punch there. And I think if the two of them can show out, they'll be fine. But if not, I don't know. But I'm with Andy. The health is all there right now, so I'm going over as well.
What was the line again? 7.5?
7.5. Same as me.
I got the under. I've got him at 7. I've got him starting relatively hot. His running backs are healthy. They play pretty well, but I do have Saquon starting to get beat up. There's not a lot there with the Giants except for Saquon. I think Leonard Fournette will eventually have some sort of injury. I think Najee is probably due for a little bit of a regression this year just because of the team around him and the quarterback play around him isn't going to be the same. So I think as the year progresses, we'll see his team start to fade unless he's able to do what he did last year and pick up some stud waiver wire pickups. I'm not going to bank on that 2 years in a row necessarily. And the team that he's got now, I've got him fading towards the end of the season.
All right, let's jump over to Boyer.
I've got Boyer's over under leading our division at 8.5.
So I'm between him and Robbie currently winning the division. So I think if I've got Robbie over the 7.5, Boyer at 8.5. I think it all comes down to his running backs. That ETN, Breece Hall, Damian Pierce combo of guys. If one of them shows out, 2 of them shows out, cool. Because of the division, I think he could get some in-division wins, which starts him out hot in my projections. And then he gets Colin, Walker, and Duo, which I'm not super high on either, which gives him a hot start to the season. So I think he goes over 8.5. Boyer, don't let me down, man.
Yeah, so I have myself at 9 games. I have myself also starting off relatively hot, starting with like a 4-6 record, and then kind of keep
4-6 or 4 out of 6.
I do have a little bit of a stretch of losses somewhere in there. Although Andy, and we didn't really talk about it when we were talking about yours. You have a really unfortunate bye week against me. I think you lose
week 9
and Javante in the same week. So that's rough. So
you're welcome.
That's an automatic win because I just don't know what you're going to be able to put together on that. But
Gibson.
Yeah. So, but I gave myself
Gibson.
I gave myself 9, and it is going to depend on the Hall, Pierce, Etienne, 3-headed trio there, and here's hoping.
Yeah, I've also got Boyer at over 8.5 wins. I really like Aaron Jones and Tyreek Hill this year. You got Josh Allen, and then just the depth. You've got 4 running backs who could all be good, and honestly, you don't even need them all to be good. And then receivers, you got depth there too. So I really like your team top to bottom.
All right, let's jump to Chris for over under.
Chris, I have at 8.5 wins.
I have Chris at the under. I've got him at 7.
I think Chris might be the second best team in my division. And if that's the case, if anybody's going to compete with my team off the start, I think it's going to be Chris. I have Chris going 4-2 in the first 6, so I think I'm going to go the over on this. I think I've gone over all the time, and I'm not sure how well this is going to work out for me.
Don't worry, you picked the under for me. I'm also going under on Chris. I think 8.5 is a little bit generous for what his team looks like today. But a lot can change during the season, and Chris is one that's pretty good about picking up the waiver guys and making a move or two that's smart. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him beat 8.5 games, but I do have him under right now.
All right, so let's jump to Colin.
Colin, I've got it 6.5 games, and I'm going to go ahead and take the under on that. I think that Colin's a savvy player. I think that if and when his team hits a skid early on, there's going to be maybe a week or two where he tries to do something to pull it together. And then when that doesn't happen, he's going to sell and try to make a push for a big year next year. Colin's not shy about being naked around other people either. So looking forward to that maybe.
Or he could be our first draw out of a hat too.
No, that's if you're naked a second time, isn't it? Or do you get the choice?
Already. Colin's already been.
Colin was?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. See, we've had so many naked people that are starting to run together.
Boyer, go ahead real quick on this.
I've got the over just slightly, but I did look at this without necessarily like, who's going to necessarily sell or not. So some of these projections might be a little high, especially if he does. I do have him losing 5 of his first 6 games. So if that happens, but I do have him then actually going on kind of decent run after that to get him back into it. So it just depends on what moves he ends up making after that run if he ends up losing that many.
I have Colin at 2 and 5 through the first 7. So I think I'm
Me
on.
Too.
The problem is I think you haven't beaten me week 7, which isn't going to be good. But let's.
I do.
Just by the way you said it. But I'm going to go the under. I don't like Colin's team. The wide receiver duo is just not doing it for me.
Yeah, Colin's in a tough division too, so that doesn't help do him any favors.
Right. Well, that's the second one I'm going under. So look, I'm not doing too bad.
With Colin, he's got Jonathan Taylor. Do we think that he's a player who can drag a team into the playoffs like a Derrick Henry or CMC, or is he just kind of that safe play, which is why he was number 1 overall this year, like for the most part?
He could, but you're gonna have something around him, and Colin doesn't have anything around him.
Yeah, I don't see Taylor as the Derrick Henry type of I'm going to put your team on my back in any given week. Like there can be weeks like that, but I don't think that that's a season long happening.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to pair him with one other guy who can help him out, and Colin doesn't really have that guy.
Jalen Waddle?
No.
All right. Anyway, let's move on. We're gonna go to Paul.
I got Paul at 9.5.
I'm going under.
I will say that this assumes that Paul picks up a kicker.
Well, right. I am so back and forth on Paul's team when I was looking at like the matchups week by week for the first handful. I was so back and forth on whether he was going to win these or lose these to certain weeks. I don't dislike his team, but like Andy said, our division is not going to be easy. Colin's going to be the easy one, quote unquote, in our division, right? But I don't know. I've got Chris over and Colin under, but if I'm also going to be high, Paul's going to have to lose some of these division games, which isn't going to help. So I'm going under for Paul. Swift, Montgomery, Mitchell. I like Swift and I like Mitchell, but I just don't know what that's going to be this year, and I don't like the depth behind it. So we'll see how it plays out, but I'm going under.
Yeah, I think I got Paul at 9 wins, so I'm going slightly under here too. I really love the Cup Debo combo. It worked great for him last year. I think it's going to work great for him again this year. But those running backs are middling. Fryermuth at tight end is definitely back end, so I don't think that he's going to be able to get to double-digit wins with what he's got right now. So I'll go under.
I got the under as well at 8.
All right.
All right. Well, that takes you guys to me in that division.
10.5.
Here.
10.5. Because I think the best record we've ever seen in our league was in a 14-game season. Chris went 12-2, and we've never seen anything better than that. So granted, we've got an extra game now, but if I went to 11.5, that would assume you would win 12 games, which would tie the most ever, and we've only seen that once. So I figured 10.5 was safe, because even if your team stays healthy and dominates, 11 wins is a tall order for anybody. So I think you do it. I'm going over.
I'm going over as well. I got you right at 11, Ty. It's just going to be the occasional loss and bad matchups that get you, assuming your team stays healthy. So
Like a bad loss to Colin Kelly on week 7.
yeah,
It looks like it would be a bad loss based on what we've said so far.
I have question marks next to that game in my spreadsheet, so I'm with you. I am hoping and praying for the over. So I like my team, and I feel like I did what I needed to. So let's go ahead and make a run this year.
you've done what you needed to before and got a wrist injury in the first week or 2 or whatever it was. So let's hope that it lasts at least till week 3 or 4.
David Johnson was in the first 3 plays of the game. Thank you. All right. It wasn't even
Okay. I was giving you too much credit.
yeah, let's not start it. All right. All right. Let's jump over to Jeremy for the over under.
Jeremy, I've got at 6.5.
I've got him just under, right at 6. I don't like Jeremy's team. I was surprised I gave him 6, to be honest.
Ty?
I think Jeremy's team has a shot to be competitive. I am not super high on his division, which helps.
That helps.
I think he's going to go over.
I also have the over, but I do think it's going to be right at about that 7, maybe 8 games. I'm not real jazzed about Jeremy's team.
Let's jump to the duo.
Duo, I've got at 7.5.
I've got the over. I've got him at 9.
I also have the over. Derrick Henry can carry them for a half a season and then crap out again, and they'll still have a decent team. So
Yeah, they've got a decent roster outside of Derrick Henry, and I think that may be the difference between him and Colin Kelly's team, is that Kelly's got the one running back and then nothing, and he's got Derrick Henry, but he's still they still have players there that I trust to go forward. So I think they have a good season. Depending on how long Derrick Henry goes for it, at least.
Ty, what do you think?
The over under is where?
7.5. Over or under 500.
I mean, based on the division, I think they could be the best team in that division. Just for the sake of Walker's running back combo is sketchy. Jeremy's team we've talked about. I'll give him the over, but it's going to be right on that line.
All right. Does that move us to Walker?
I'm not big on Patterson and Hunter Henry either.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are definitely holes in the lineup. It's just, what do you do with it? So, all right, let's jump to Walker.
All right. I've got Walker, and this might be a surprise, at 8.5.
Wow. I've got the under. I've got him at 6.
This division could go a lot of different ways, but I the Melvin Gordon, Tony Pollard makes me nervous. I just don't know if Zeke and
He's
Pollard
got Henderson too.
Right, but what is Henderson? Is he going to be a 50-50 timeshare guy? Is he going to be? I mean, is
Gordon and
AJ
Pollard are out of the three of them. You got guys you can play each week and get decent enough.
right, but is decent enough going to get you 8.5?
Fair.
I
I mean, compared to
I've
other
got-
teams in this division, looking at Kyle Pitts, Justin Jefferson, Kyler Murray, I don't know that I'm seeing combinations like that on these other rosters.
But we know Kyler Murray's toasted after October 28th. So
Hey, he's got Rodgers on his bench. Rodgers plays well in winter,
that's
so
fair. That's fair.
that's a 1-2 punch right there. He knows what he's doing.
but he's also got Tyler Lockett, and I can't cheer for that
He didn't have to play him.
guy. I'm going to go under. I'm going to take him right on the line, but he's going to be under. I think that whole division, those three are going to be pretty level across. And then we'll get to Charlie in a minute.
Yeah, I am going over. I've got him at 9 games, but I expected you guys to go under on this one. I think that I am a little bit higher on some of his players than you are. So when I set these lines on my own, I kind of knew where this one was going to fall.
Well, good for you, man.
Mhm.
Way to know your host.
All right, that leaves Charlie,
It does.
and I apologize, at 2.5.
I've got the over. I've given him 4, and that's the assumption that he doesn't eventually sell his team. Assume like if this team throughout a whole year would give him 4, I think he gets a couple surprise wins here and there. But if he sells, obviously I'd probably go the under, but it's a rough team to start.
Don't worry about the 1 win through 7 weeks that I have Charlie on. That comes to Boyer week 2. I was just looking at matchups, and I thought that was a week he had a shot, so I gave it to him.
Thanks, Ty. I appreciate it. I'm glad you have a lot of confidence in my team right now.
But assuming Charlie doesn't sell too early, I think Charlie can hit 3 wins.
I think 3 is not asking very much, but I think even asking for 3 wins comes solely down to what Trey Lance is able to do, because I don't see a lot of pop on this team. Like if Kelsey has a big week, it's what, 18, 20 points. If DJ Moore has a big week, it's maybe 18, 20 points. I guess Gabe Davis can put up 4 touchdowns in a game, but I don't see the guy on the roster that can carry him to a win in a week where the rest of his roster's hurt, like Waller and Godwin are, or not good because they're one of his 3 rookies on his bench, or whatever, all the issues that we hashed out last week with Charlie's roster. It's going to struggle week to week. So unless he's coming up against somebody who struggles more, I don't see a name on this roster that can pop for 30 plus points and win the week for him when everybody else is below average. So I'm going to go with the under here. Part of that is because I do think he's going to sell. Charlie's already acknowledged that Kelsey was both a trade chip and maybe it'll give me a leg up somewhere. But it's a lot of rookies that he hopes can turn into keepers and trade chips at this point. So I think I think he could get to 3 or 4, but I'm not betting that.
I think Chris Godwin is the only other player that he could get like a 25-point game from, but he's injured.
Yeah.
Even if he plays, you don't expect him to be 100%. So
right.
by the time
he's putting up 25-point games, he might be on another team.
Right, but that's the only other guy that I could look at, and I actually think that was a absolutely stellar
Huge
pick
steal.
by Charlie. By the way, it's just disappointing that he couldn't pair him with literally anybody else except for Travis Kelce. But it's just, I don't think it's going to matter.
To be honest, we'll see what kind of workload Dylan gets, and Cam Akers. I think the two of them are his biggest question marks, and if they can both get a solid role, if Cam Akers can be 75%, if AJ Dillon can pull a 50%, I mean, you guys talked about Walker's team having 350% type guys, and they were okay to fill in. I mean, Walker may have some other guys that fill in nicer in different places because he doesn't have Trey Lance and whatever else. But I think it's going to come down to those two running backs. Can the two of them pull any sort of weight? So
Fair.
we'll see. But 3 wins is high, but I'm going to give it to him because he's going to beat Boyer week 2, and then he'll find himself 2 other lucky wins somewhere.
Listen, if I could win a few games last year and not be naked, Charlie had a chance.
All right. You guys ready to pow! What's he drinking? I'm on nothing fun tonight. I got nothing in my fridge, so I went with the basic Sprite. So I'm boring. I got no beer.
Man, what are you like me from 4 months ago?
Yeah, right. I know. I'm rolling on a budget here, and I didn't get any beer tonight. I was dumb.
Oof.
Attaboy.
I have a beer. I have Oktoberfest. It's a little early usually for Oktoberfest, but it was there. It was available. So we're having it.
I support that. I made a amaretto stone sour.
Ooh.
You had
Yeah,
your
I
fancy
even-
glass out, so I knew you were drinking something.
I even made my own sour mix because I'm a fancy
Oh,
bitch.
You are.
super fancy. That's why I got you at 10 wins.
It's delicious. Yeah, me and Ty
Alright.
both went under 7.5, and you picked me at 10. So
There's got to be an outlier somewhere.
it's probably Boyer. But I'm cheering for what Boyer said. I like his.
To be honest, when you have Chubb and Javante on a bye on the same week, it means they play together all the other weeks. So
Here's hoping. You're welcome.
All right, let's jump into these matchups for week 1. We'll get our predictions in, touch on a couple small things if there's a major roster decision or whatever, and then we'll move on. We'll start with myself first, Paul. If you guys want to hit on that one real quick.
I can take it. I think that I think I'm going to start off and say I got Ty in this one. Even once Paul hopefully remembers to pick up a kicker. I don't like Paul's running backs this week, and Ty's team is stacked, so that's easy enough. Bateman against the Jets or Singletary against the Rams. I definitely think I'm giving Michael Thomas a week of wait and see, and I'm not going Ayuk or Kirk. So Bateman or Singletary for Ty's flex. I'm going to give my vote to Singletary, but I tend to favor the running backs. On Paul's end, I don't think you're sitting any of his 3 running backs for a guy like Claypool, so no real roster decisions there. Boys, who you got, Bateman or Singletary in Ty's flex?
I'm okay. I think I'm going Singletary. I think Ty just needs to get points in this one. Like he's got such a stacked team that just go get points. Singletary will do it for you. See what Bateman's got going for him going forward.
Yeah, well, and I've been back and forth because I know the Jets bolstered their secondary, and Bateman's outside of Mark Andrews is the only option, so I don't know how bad they'll try to just shut him down. And I think Singletary will get the main bulk of the carries, so I was kind of leaning that way. But I also don't necessarily like to go up against the Rams defense, but Buffalo's going to score points, so it is what it is.
You only need like 8 points out of that position. Just go get it with Singletary and see what happens with Bateman. So if he's awesome, great. If he's not, no harm.
Right. Yep, I've been back and forth, so that's been my decision.
All right, who you guys got winning this one?
Yep.
Yeah, I got Ty too. Early on, is when his players are healthy, he's fine. So we'll see how that goes down the line. But these first few weeks, it's going to be Ty all the way, I feel like.
Yep, that's probably accurate. All right.
So let's jump
next,
to the polls. I think Colin Kelly had Jeremy losing or winning by -10. against Charlie. I think everybody else had picked Jeremy to win by some sort of points, by 31 plus, I believe Andy picked. I don't know.
I didn't
Jeremy
pick the
likes
big
to
one. I
play
picked 20 to 30.
But I think most of us were voting Jeremy to win this one. We've talked about Charlie's team, so that helps. I'm not seeing a whole lot of a roster decision for Jeremy. He's got Miles Sanders on the bench, which I'm not starting this week. MVS, which Jeremy likes, but I'm not sure that I'm starting him this week. So I'm leaving his starting lineup in. Is there anything you guys see there that would spark an interest on Jeremy's side?
No, I think Dak over Cousins. You could try to talk me into Cousins in the division game, but I'd rather have Dak against Tampa. And like you said, I'm not putting Sanders in.
He's got CeeDee Lamb, so why not just leave the Dak Lamb stack? Is really
That's fair.
for this first week. Go for it, right? Why not? You're playing Charlie.
Yeah. If they get shut down, though, that hurts them twice. And that could be a window for Charlie to get in. So higher floor diversifying, but you know.
I get it. And then Charlie has Godwin on the bench, but I'm not sure.
He's slated to play.
Yeah, he's a full participant today at practice, so probably okay to go.
So I guess we could talk about putting him in over Gabe Davis.
I think over Waller. I don't know that I want Waller playing this week.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that would be the best spot. Put Kelsey back at tight ends and get Godwin in there. Normally, I'd let Godwin sit this week just because you don't really know how much of a role he's going to have. They've got Julio. They've got a couple other wide receivers. Brady likes to spread the ball, but Charlie, I don't think really has a choice here. I think he
doesn't have that luxury.
So outside of that, I actually may or may not start. If we're putting Godwin in the flex over Waller, I would probably start Chris Olave over Gabe Davis this week. I'm going to be the outlier. But
okay,
Chris Olave against Atlanta or Gabe Davis against the Rams. Chris Olave is going to be the number one if Michael Thomas isn't healthy to go this week.
That's fair, but I don't know that there's going to need to be much ball throwing going on against Atlanta from any team this year because they're going to be pretty bad. Whereas I feel like the Buffalo Rams game could be a shootout, and I want Gabe Davis in that. He's the clear number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be a defensive game where it's not a shootout. Because both defenses are pretty dang good too.
I mean, my money's on whatever the over is in this game. I think the over under is like 52. So I'm looking at like 28 to 30 from each team.
As a Josh Allen owner, I'm going with the over.
Well, that doesn't seem unbiased at all.
No, not at all.
I'm just throwing the Chris Olave thing out there. I think Chris Olave could be a good play this week, especially if he needs like just a go for it type week. Just throw him out there and pray that he's the guy this week and he moves forward that way. So
yeah, I will say that Charlie's team needs the touchdown upside, and out of anybody on his roster, Gabe Davis is the touchdown upside, so it's going to be hard to bench him.
And then not to spend too much time on this matchup, but I think that Jeremy's most important player this week is going to be Edmonds, because he needs to know that he is going to do what he drafted him for.
Groin issue. Good luck, Jay.
I'm just saying, if he only gets like half the carries or less, or Mostert starts taking things, then he needs to be shaking in his boots for the rest of the year for sure. So this is week 1's big for Edmonds for Jeremy's team.
I would also say for CEH because that comes out slow.
I'm just saying Jeremy needs to be validated here. We gave him crap for really the trio of running backs, but Edmonds leads that. He was very high on Edmonds, so he needs to be validated here.
Yep.
Everybody pick Jeremy?
Yeah, yes. Jeremy's going to win.
No surprise.
All right, so let's jump to the duo versus Walker.
So I mean, I think this one's pretty clear. Jefferson could have a giant game against Green Bay. He normally does. And then I think Kamara against Atlanta is probably the other kind of plus guy on the other side for duo. As far as options on the bench, duo, he's got like Tony and Wilson, maybe Robert Woods. Patterson's not great, but we don't really know what his role is going to be. I'd probably just keep him there and see what happens. But Robert Woods, maybe my guy that I would consider there. You guys got any opinion on that?
Robert Woods would be the floor play that would just kind of be safe.
Right.
He gets his touches, he gets his points every year. I would, like you said, I don't know what the hell Patterson's going to be this year. But I would probably play Woods over Patterson this week with just the hope. I know Andy leans running back, but I don't know if Patterson's even going to be a running back or not.
He's not. I mean, he'll be out of the backfield, but I feel like he'll be doing a lot of the catching. The Giants were a decent enough defense last year that I don't feel like it gives them a huge benefit. So I'm good with keeping Patterson there just to see what happens.
Yeah, I think as much as I hate it, I'm also good with keeping Patterson there until we see that they're not feeding him the ball. Woods is boring, but maybe I don't think I would consider anybody else on their roster at this point. Yeah, on Walker's side, any consideration for Cooper or Henderson or even Lockett ahead of Pollard, especially against the Tampa defense?
I almost kind of like Lockett here. I don't know why. Monday night against Denver, I feel like he'll show out for like his one game, and then I think he might be droppable after week 5.
What is he, Sammy Watkins?
Walker hopes. Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Boyer. I feel like they're going to need to air it out a little bit this season because they're going to be losing. And I'm okay with starting Zeke and Pollard in most weeks, but that Tampa front defense against the run is pretty stout. And I don't think that this is the week to double down on running backs facing Tampa's defense. So
Henderson against Buffalo is in a similar situation. So Lockett might, he's a boom bust guy. I mean, he'll get you either 0 or 14 or 15, but I think this is a good week for him to bet on him getting 14 or 15.
Yeah, I will say that neither of us have really talked about Amari Cooper in this decision, even though he's projected at higher than Henderson or Lockett, but I don't want to touch Cooper with a crap quarterback.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
To be honest, I was planning on talking about Cooper until you said that.
Hey, go for it.
I think that Carolina's defense is not great. And Buffalo and Denver's defense are both all right, if not good. So Amari Cooper could be the play because I think he could just get peppered because he may be the only guy that Brissett wants to hit. I don't know.
Yeah, he could also be like double and triple teamed and just be blanketed.
Well, he could be Amari Cooper of the last 3 years where he doesn't touch the ball but 3 times a game. I don't know. But I think Amari Cooper might have the highest upside of the 3 of them, which is what Walker would need. So
I think highest upside is Lockett. I think that's he's got the lowest floor, I think, but I think the highest upside is Lockett.
Yep.
maybe.
Did Boyer and Ty, did you guys make your picks in this one?
We're both taking the duo.
All right. I am going to dissent and pick Walker here. Not just because I picked the over in Walker's win total, but because I feel like Walker's got the advantage at quarterback this week. The Lions have a sneaky good defense, and Murray's going to have to ball out against Kansas City's not super great defense. So I'm saying that the quarterback differential in this particular week gives Walker the edge.
You can also look at Pitts versus Henry at tight end, could give him a pretty significant edge too.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah, but if you look at Kamara and Henry versus Elliott and Gordon, I'm taking the running back side on the
Right.
duo.
I mean, I'm picking duo. I'm just saying if Walker wins, it's because of the quarterback and the tight end is my bet, and Lockett.
I think part of it could be Sutton. I think part of it could be the duo loses based on Sutton not being Sutton, that they're claiming he's the go-to top Russell Wilson target right now.
Yeah.
Because if Sutton's not that guy, then you just lost your quote-unquote wide receiver 1 or 2, depending upon how you see him versus Allen.
They're going to run it with Javonte every play. It doesn't matter what Sutton's doing. He's not getting the ball.
And then when they pass it's to Javonte anyway.
Boyer gets it. 10 wins for me.
That's more of my. I think that's the way the duo loses versus the way Walker is going to win. So, all right, let's move on. That matchup's over. Boyer versus Fryer.
Is that back to me?
Sure.
All right. Boyer and Fryer both have players on their teams. This is my matchup of the week, though. These guys are they're both pretty solid teams. I like the Allen and Knox combination for Boyer this week in what I think is going to be a shootout against the Rams. Jackson against the Jets could be disappointing, especially if they go up early and ease off the gas. But another one to watch is the Vegas Chargers matchup with Adams and Mike Williams, and a lot going on here between these two teams, but I think that this will be a pretty high scoring one and definitely an exciting matchup. Boyer's got Breece Hall in at the flex against Baltimore. There's been some murmurings about Michael Carter being the RB1 early in the season. I don't know that I buy that, but still, it's not what you want to hear going into the first week. Zach Wilson's not playing. Duke Wilson, Chad Wilson, whatever you want to call him, Boyer, popped collar Wilson, MILF banger, is not playing for the first week or two. So that definitely hurts the offense as a whole for the Jets for the upside. I like a pivot here to Brandon Cooks, maybe Dameon Pierce, but that's another one that I'd kind of like to see. But I'm not putting Breece Hall in week 1. I want to see what they do with that first. On the other side, Hollywood or Damian Harris, or maybe Judy in the flex. I think I'm okay leaving Hollywood in there. I already mentioned that I think that Kyler Murray is going to have to do a lot of work against the not great Kansas City defense. So that probably means Hollywood getting some run there, but I could see making a pivot there. So let's go to Ty. Who you got at the flex for both these guys?
I'm keeping Hollywood in for Fryer. And for Boyer, to be honest, I would probably be between Renfro and Breece Hall. I would probably keep Breece Hall in. I think he's probably, if he gets a run, he's probably got the highest upside. He's also probably the safest floor out of them, if it's assuming he's the starter, which with the way where he's picked and all of that, they traded up to get him. He should be the starter, and they should give him the ball. I know that Michael Carter crap is there, but I would leave Breece Hall in and pray for the best. You paid $40-some for him. You better go ahead and hope and pray that this guy's your guy. Just like Jeremy has Edmonds, this guy better work out for you here.
Boyer, who you got in the flex for yourself? Which way you leading? And then for Fry.
I'm leaning Dameon Pierce or Brandon Cooks. And
that's what I said.
The reason why I'm leaning Dameon Pierce, probably as my first guy, is that it's Lovie Smith, old school, will run the ball a lot. He'll get volume. It's not a terrible offensive line. Indianapolis's defensive front isn't quite as good as it was in the last couple of years. I think that there is something to gain there.
Texans have a good O-line too.
And so Brandon Cooks, I mean, he's the only wide receiver in Houston. And I do believe Davis Mills is a decent enough quarterback to continue to get the ball to him. So I'm going to do that. I'm probably not going to leave Brees Hall in. Just me and Fry were actually texting back and forth, and he was telling me he was like 0.6 above me. So I put Brees Hall in because he had a bigger projection. Said, look at it now. And then he put somebody else in, which gave him an extra like 0.2. So we kind of did that, just like shuffle around just to goof around. But I think I'm probably going to go with one of the Texans. Doesn't feel great, but I feel like those are the safer floors. I'd like to see what Brees Hall does and what his usage is before I rely on him in any way, shape, or form. I think by week 8, he'll be a solid starter for me, but not right now.
Real quick before we make our picks on who's winning this one, I want to say that both of you are starting the wrong defenses. I think that Miami and Carolina are both better plays than Cleveland and Tennessee this week, despite the projections. So if any of you wants to take the advice of a random podcast that you listen to, go out and check out Miami and Carolina this week. Definitely should listen to me.
Noted. Real quick, I think the biggest player for Fryer right now is going to be Hollywood. He's the number 1 wide receiver on that team. That's his big boom player. If he goes off, I think he'll have over 100 points, almost guaranteed.
I think Fryer's biggest question mark is Kareem Hunt.
Absolutely.
Fair.
That could be his.
Ask for a trade. So what is that going to look like?
That could be his losing piece. If
Fair.
Hunt just like I said, Sutton could be Duo's piece where it just tanks him.
So maybe the question is really should be Kareem Hunt or Damian Harris.
Yeah, fair.
All right. I've got Fryer in this one.
Oh wow.
Tyreek Hill is against New England. New England will take him away, and I think that's what'll do me in.
You mean they're not going to take away Chase Edmonds because he's their best player? I'm confused. I heard somewhere that Chase Edmonds is going to be really good this year.
Nope. Pretty sure it's going to be Tyreek Hill.
Ah.
I mean, like 90% sure.
Makes sense. Ty, who you got?
I got Boyer winning this one.
Same here. I got Boyer.
Oh, you guys are sweethearts.
I'm just glad I've diversified from both of you at one point now. It's fine.
Yep. It's a long season.
Let's go to Chris versus Colin. Yahoo has him projected pretty close within a point here. I starting on Colin's side, I just cannot get behind Devonta Smith. And it might just be a me thing. It might be I hate the Eagles thing. Like I don't know how they're going to be. They brought in AJ Brown. But my downfall is who do you put in? Is Sky Moore, Treylon Burks?
Yeah, Colin did not construct this roster well to have these issues he's having.
So I mean, you could say Treylon Burks or Sky Moore, but I'm not starting either of them until I see him play a game or two. So I guess I'm leaving Devonta Smith in and praying for the best.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? What do you think on Colin's side?
Yeah, I mean, the struggle with Devonta Smith is that now he's number 2 in a kind of a running offense that, with Hurts anyway. So I worry about Devonta Smith, but you're right. There's really just no other wide receivers that I would trust. I like Treylon Burks a lot, not for week 1 this year. Who knows if he can even breathe throughout the whole game. So I think you almost have to just to try and have some kind of floor, because Hurts does like to throw to Devonta Smith, despite the fact that AJ Brown will probably steal a good chunk of the targets. I think that's where you have to go on this one. I actually think that game could be decently high scoring enough that maybe Devonta Smith does pretty well, but it's tough. It's not a position you want to be in if you're Colin.
Yeah, for sure. And his decision may be made for him. I think Waddle's going to play, but he's dealing with a little bit of a quad issue. But I don't think that that's as big of an issue as Kittle. Kittle's groin that he hurt last week, early this week. And Shanahan said that it is not feeling good. They're taking it day by day, but that's not what you want to hear out of your $29 tight end. You have to play Njoku with who Jacoby Brissett throwing to him. Is that who the Browns tight end or Browns quarterback is? So Colin's in a tough spot, but I mean, on the other side, Chris is in a tough spot too. Deontay Johnson might not play this week. Zach Ertz is questionable, so he's not getting Dobbins back week 1.
You didn't give me a chance to go over Chris's team yet.
I got excited. I started talking about all the injuries. You were too slow.
You didn't give me a chance to cover injuries. You were too busy talking.
What? You should have done it.
Children. Let's just move on.
All right, who are we picking to win?
Thanks, Dad.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm assuming everybody's healthy. The problem is both tight ends could be out. Deontay
Gentleman's
Johnson,
agreement to not play tight ends this week.
I had
Actually,
Colin,
be amazing. I would love.
I had Colin winning this one, but if Waddle and Kittle both don't play, then it's going to go the other way. So I've got Colin assuming everybody's playing, but if everybody's not playing, it'll probably be Chris.
I think I'm going Chris in this one. I like his top end talent a little bit better, and Colin's team sucks.
Yeah, I mean, Chris's top 4, Stafford, Chase, Diggs, and Cook, are scary. But I do like Jonathan Taylor's matchup against Houston. I think that he'll get 20 points easy in this game, and I think that will be enough to push him over if needed. I'm going to go with Colin.
I also like Russell Wilson against Seattle too.
Oh yeah, he's going to put up. I mean, he's going to go crazy. They're going to let him cook. He's not going to run the ball once.
So, all right.
Yeah, 2 games last year against the Texans. 143 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground in one of them. 145 yards and 2 touchdowns in the other one. So
that's pretty good.
Those are decent games.
Yeah, they're all right.
All right. So Andy, you're the only one taking Chris on this one, huh?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm fine with that. I like Chris's team, but I do think Colin has a good week.
Right. It's matchups look good for Colin this week.
Yep.
All right. So let's finish off with Andy versus Robbie.
We'll always finish off with Andy and Robbie.
Helps me sleep at night.
I think this is this is the matchup of the week for me. Again, I'm higher on Andy's team, I guess, than everybody else is, but everyone's healthy, everyone's there. I think Metcalf is probably Andy's player that he's going to be looking to the most. If he can't perform against, Denver against his old quarterback and put up a game, I don't know how much you're going to be able to rely on him. So this is the game that you want Metcalf to play and play well. I think as far as you could play Juju over McLaurin, but he's going up against Jacksonville, and that feels pretty good to me. I don't really Thielen against Green Bay, maybe. I know you've got so many wide receivers. I don't really know where to go with it.
Same, buddy.
I think I might go with Thielen. I think that's going to be a decently high-scoring game. It usually is in Minnesota in a dome. Both teams are going to be looking to start off hot on offense. Rodgers going to have a chip on his shoulder. That Minnesota Vikings offense is supposed to throw a lot. Thielen's healthy. I would almost say play Thielen now, go get those touchdowns while he's available to. I don't know what to expect from McLaurin. I don't like Wentz a whole lot, even against Jacksonville. So I think I'd put Thielen in here, but it's a risk. I can't say it's not.
I'm sticking with McLaurin. I think Thielen's going to slowly fall off this year and maybe go get your touchdowns while they're available early. But I think McLaurin against Jacksonville has a big upside to him. Thielen's upside is touchdowns. So I'm going to play the guy that's probably going to get peppered with targets more than the guy that may just be the red zone target.
Yep. I will tell you, I am for sure starting Terry I don't have high hopes for that offense with Carson Wentz, but it's better than the guy whose name I've already forgotten that quarterbacked for him last year. So I'm hopeful that he's just going to get peppered with targets and turn it into something, because the quarterback is at least a name who's been well at some point in his career. I will say that the Metcalf Thielen decision are the two that I'm going back and forth between. I've got Chubb, Gibson, Goddard going at noon. Robbie's got Burrow, Najee, Mooney, Hawkinson, and the Pittsburgh defense, which is a bad start. Not that Robbie's going to see this. He should also be going and looking at Miami and Carolina with Boyer and Fryer. But I'll know a lot more after the noon games, how these projections are shaking out. And if I'm in a hole, I think Metcalf's my better swing for the fences, because 120 and 2 touchdowns sounds a lot more like a Metcalf game than a Thielen game. So Thielen's probably more of my floor play. We'll make a game time decision on that one.
Yeah, even if you get 2 touchdowns from Thielen, you're looking at 50 yards, right?
Right.
So looking over on the other side, oh boy, let's see. I mean, we've talked about the Harris, Barkley, Fournette group, Robinson and Mooney's. I don't really see anybody that I would look at changing out, maybe minus defense, but there's really nobody on his bench that I even would start on most other teams. So
I mean, I would want to get Mostert in there, especially if Edmonds is out, but I think you can't really do that on Robbie's team. You're not benching any of these other 3 backs, so I doubt we see a week 1 trade, but there's plenty of teams that would love to have a Raheem Mostert if he's the
also
guy.
he's also 30 years old.
Yeah, but I mean, it's him or Myles Gaskin, and they brought in 7 different running backs this year in the offseason to not have to give the ball to Myles Gaskin this year. So if Edmonds is hurt, it's gonna be Mostert, right? He's healthy to start.
Fair.
Mike McDaniels came from San Francisco. So.
Yeah, what Ty said.
I mean, we're probably looking at like a minimum 3 or 4 different starting running backs in that backfield before week 5. But yeah, I think his team stays pretty much where it is. Who do you guys got winning?
I'm taking me.
I have Andy winning this one as well.
Well, let me check my sheet. I've got Robbie.
How are you having losing this game and winning 10 games this year? Also, I will say Robbie was one of my Achilles heels. He's one of the teams I have not as good record against historically. I struggle to beat him. So
I think this is kind of similar to where I view Ty's team, as far as like his team is healthy at the start of the year. It's going to be awesome. Harris, Barkley, and Fournette is a gauntlet of running backs. I'm actually fairly high on the Bears offense. I think that Fields and Mooney is going to put up some surprising numbers. Whether they lose all their games doesn't, whatever. But I think that they will play decently well. So, but yeah, I've got Robbie because of the running back gauntlet that he's got.
Niners about to smack the Bears this weekend. Don't start.
I didn't say that the Bears would win. I just said is that Fields and Mooney connection is going to be there.
And Cole Kmet will steal all the touchdowns.
I mean, or Khalil Herbert.
So, all right. Well, you've got the over-unders. So let us know how you feel about those. We picked the winners for the weeks. Also, let us know how you feel about those. Feel free to send in your own projections. We'd like to see how you guys do it compared to us, because we suck at this. So
I want to shout out real quick, Colin Kelly. I want to know why my team sucks. So I know your team sucks, but I need to know why my team sucks.
Yeah, get on it, Colin. Quit being an adult and do what we tell you to do.
yeah, I'd like to know why my team sucks too.
I would be very interested in seeing that.
I mostly want to know why everyone else's team sucks. So you can leave mine off if you need to. He's probably struggling with why my team sucks. That's probably why he hasn't done it yet. Not a lot of material there.
Just keep getting to your team and just write.
I mean, You pop into my team and you're like, oh, injuries. Okay, cool. Let's move on. There's not a lot of material there either. So, all right. Well, let us know how you felt. Other than that, let's enjoy some football this weekend. Let's enjoy some trash talking. We'll see you guys back next week.